I told him I was not going out of my way to make breakfast for him. This is only for me and my daughter. Like, if you're that hungry, there's a McDonald's down the street, or there's eggs in the fridge and there's bacon, and you can make it yourself.
Really? Is this the way to talk to or treat your husband? Now, imagine this. Your husband walks into the kitchen, the smell of bacon and eggs filling the air. His heart lifts, his expectations rise. He thinks, wow, she's making breakfast. Maybe she made it for me too. He's hoping to hear something like, honey, come sit down, breakfast is ready. But instead, what he hears is, this isn't for you. Make your own or go to McDonald's. Are you serious? This is a man working his butt off to provide for his family, like so many high achieving entrepreneurial husbands do. Long hours, sleepless nights, carrying the weight of this business and big dreams, not just for himself, but for his wife and children. And this is how he's met? Are you kidding me? Hey, I'm Kingsley Grant, a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified relationship coach. I've been doing this for over 2 decades. I've seen many stories. I'm not sure I've seen any like this yet, but maybe in some regards I have. And having been married for 40 years as of this recording, I think I have learned a few things here and there. But I can't even imagine what that would be like if I walked into the kitchen and my wife greeted me that way. I don't know. I don't know what would happen. But I'm going to break down what's really going on in this viral moment. And I'm also going to share what every wife, including you, who wants her husband to see her, hear her, and spend more time with her needs to understand. I'm going to help you to see how that's done. And I can tell you from the very beginning, this is not how it's done, right? I also show you how a small moment like breakfast can either build connection or completely break it. So stick around because what I'm about to share might just save someone's marriage, maybe yours, maybe yours. We'll see. We'll find out. Okay. I'll also show you how a small moment like breakfast can either build connection or completely break it. So stick around because what I'm about to share might just save someone's marriage, maybe yours. We'll find out. So let's kind of watch a little bit more about what really is going on here and see again what this wife is saying.
I gave him a list of things that I don't do the day that we got married, and he was okay with it. If there's leftovers, go ahead and eat. If there's no leftovers, then I'm sorry. You're gonna have to figure it out. But I am not gonna cook for you. And then on top of that, I'm doing scrambled eggs. He wants a fried egg. No, I'm sorry. That's too much work for me. I'm not gonna do it.
What's being served here isn't just about scrambled eggs, right? It's disrespect, dismissal, and division. This isn't about breakfast. It's about basic emotional intelligence, right? The ability to recognize how your actions land on someone else. She says, I gave him a list of things. Imagine that. I gave him a list of things I don't do the day we got married. But that's not communication, is it? That's a contract with conditions. She gave him that. I don't know if that would have really gone over too well if my wife handed me that at the very beginning. Proverbs 14, verse 1 says, "The wise woman or wife builds her house, her home, but with her own hands, the foolish one tears hers down." And sadly, that's what's happening here. Okay. Now, when a wife misunderstands a man's heart, things like this do happen. Here's the truth that some won't say out loud. Most husbands aren't looking for a chef. Okay. They're looking for connection. They're looking for respect. They're looking for honor. They're looking for support. They're looking for a wife to believe in them. That's what they're looking for. This wife missed an opportunity to build intimacy through a simple act of service. She used logic. He's picky. It's too much work. But emotional intelligence asks, how will this make him feel? How about his heart, his feelings? This notion that sometimes that men don't feel because we don't express our emotions that much is a myth. It's a myth. That is not true. We feel. It's just that we don't say it as much as you do as a wife, but we feel. And many times you'll see that in our actions. No questions about it. It shows up sometimes as anger or frustration or just shutting down. That's emotions at play. By brushing him off, she sent a silent message. You're not worth the effort. That's what he heard. That's what he's hearing. Can you imagine how crushing that must have been in that moment for that husband? I mean, I know for me, it would be crushing. I would just be so crushed. I don't know. I wouldn't, I just want to walk away and maybe just go and be missing all day. I don't know if I want to be coming home. Huh? And some husbands, that's what they do. And hear me, this is not about gender roles, right? It's about relationships, rhythms, the dynamic, the connection. It's about the rhythm of the relationship that's happening here. Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 15, it talks about the little foxes that spoil the vineyard. The little foxes, not the big ones, the little foxes that spoil the vine or the vineyard. Breakfast was the fox in this moment. Now, let's see where this fallout, because this seemingly small thing wasn't small. I don't think this is the first time this husband have experienced this kind of treatment because they've been married for 15 years. I don't think it's the first time he've heard it, but I believe this may have been the straw that broke the camel's back. It's that one last thing. And who's to say what kind of mood he might have been? Stressed, thinking about the bills and the finances and the children and the family, and working his butt off and doing all that he can just to hear this? Well, there are consequences to our actions. I say many times to many clients and others, the choices is yours. You made the choices, but you cannot decide and determine the consequences. In this case, there was a consequence. And here's what she says the consequence was. Let's take a look.
So my husband decided to drain our joint bank account and leave me after so much controversy on my videos. I made a video about how I didn't want to cook breakfast for my husband because I didn't want to go out of my way from making scrambled eggs to making a fried egg for him. And I said that he could do it himself. I guess he got wind of the videos, and yeah, he drained our bank account and he has told me that I have to leave.
Now we've entered the consequence phase. Not saying he was right. I'm not saying this was the right way to go about doing this, but he was responding to what he felt was repeated rejection and disrespect and treating him this way. I have heard from husbands many times where, and sometimes a wife will say this, but I just recently was speaking to a husband, and he said, he felt like in all the years raising their children with his wife, that he felt like the odd guy out. He was pushed to the side. His wife made the children a priority over him. And he said he just kind of went along for many years until it was too much. It was just too much. He just felt like, why am I doing this? Why am I working so hard? Why am I feel invisible. I feel like I'm not even wanted. Yes, I bring my paycheck home and that's gladly received, but I felt like that's all I'm there for. Many husbands feel this way. Okay. So here's the kicker. When a man doesn't feel respected, he will eventually retreat, rebel, or retaliate. Yes, that's what tend to happen. And people wonder, and she may even say, that's over the top. Well, I can tell you, that's why I said about emotions. As men, we seem to not show it, but when we do, sometimes it's to the extreme. And I'm not advocating or somehow making that okay. It's just what it is. This is why the Bible calls wives to respect their husband, Ephesians 5:33. Not because they're perfect, but because respect speaks to a man's soul. It speaks to the deepest core of his being. And so I believe there was a lack of wisdom on both sides. Okay. I want to be very clear. The marriage didn't fall apart overnight. Would you agree? Again, I would love to hear your thoughts and maybe comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts about what it is you're hearing. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you see it another way? Comment below. Let me hear your thoughts on this because maybe I'm just missing something here. But this marriage didn't fall apart overnight. It wasn't one fried egg away from success. I can guarantee that. There was a lack of humility, communication, and mutual understanding. Emotional intelligence says, let me consider how my tone, my timing, my words impact the one I say I love. You know, you may have heard me say this if you've been watching my videos for a time. I said the mind of Christ invites us, and it's the most the fastest and most impactful way to change the course of a relationship, right? Because it invites us to serve one another in love, according to Galatians 5, verse 13, not keep score, not keep score, but both sides kept score. And the scoreboard blew up. It blew up. Now, here then, I believe, which I think is the caution, the thing that we need, the sobering part, right? What I think as you, as a wife, need to know. I believe this is very important. So, may I just say to you, dear wife, watching this, I know you work hard. I know you're tired. I know you carry a lot of responsibilities. Sometimes you feel like you're the only one doing that, and I get it. But don't let resentment rob you of connection. When you say, I'm not cooking for you, what he may hear is, you don't matter to me. That's what he's hearing. You're not important. It's almost like you go figure it out. You go figure it out. And I can also probably imagine this wife may have been building up to this point, but it seemed like that mindset, as she said, began from day one. So let me encourage you, dear wife, to use emotional intelligence to reframe things, right? Maybe it could be like where she could have said, honey, I'd love to make breakfast together this weekend. right? So it's an invitation to invite the husband and prepare him for that, right? Or she could say, I don't mind helping, but I'm feeling overwhelmed today. I really want to cook you breakfast, but I guess she was in the very act of it. So it's hard to say in this situation, but I'm just speaking in general, right? Maybe it could be, honey, I want us to win together. Can we talk about how to share the load? These are statements you might make around things you're trying to invite your husband to be a part of rather than coming at him. And he will tell you what he feels is attacked. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard from wives who said, husbands who have said, I feel like she attacks me. I hear more from men who say that than wives. But again, if you have some other thoughts, I would love to hear your thoughts about it. And make sure that you also hit that subscribe button while you're at it and the thumbs up just to let me know that you're kind of tracking with me, and it's another way for us to get this word out to as many people as possible. So that subscribe is very important, so go ahead and do that even right now. See, what I've just shared with you is about how to kind of use emotional intelligence to frame your conversation. That kind of communication, what it does, and listen, you're hearing from a man, a husband. So this you will never hear from, I won't say never, but even if you hear from a woman or a wife, another wife like yourself, it's what she's thinking, read about, heard, but it's not what she knows. So I'm telling you what I know to be true because I'm a man like your husband. And when you are able to invite us in, it what it does, right? It allows us to think it through and figure a way how to do that. So the kind of communication where, honey, can we, whatever I just said, that kind of communication draws us in. It doesn't drive us out. And that's it's very important. And so that's why you've heard me said that, and which is at the end, I'm sorry, the end, the bottom line here that wraps everything together, that embracing the mind of Christ is the fastest and most impactful way to build lasting, joy filled relationships. This wife did not demonstrate somebody who was acting as if they had the mind of Christ. And that's just something that I think is so missing many times from relationships. Many wives think they can, roughshod their way or push their way or like an elephant in a glass room, push against men. It doesn't go too well that way. It really doesn't go too well that way because we hear disrespect. And one of the things I talk about, and I'll be talking about in my webinar, but also in the a 6 week joyful marriage quest, that I want to encourage you to get on the wait list, because when I do open that, I want you to be a part of that. And you can go to buildyourhappiermarriage.com, buildyourhappiermarriage.com/waitlist, and get on that, because I teach about this idea. I teach about the intimacy bridge. How do you cross the bridge in the relationship and bridge and close the gap? How do you communicate more effectively, more impactfully in your relationship? How do you get your husband to hear you? Those things I unpack in the joyful marriage quest. But I want to encourage you that when I do, one of the best ways is to get on that wait list so that I can tell you more about when that opens up and you can be a part of that and save yourself from this very thing. Again, buildyourhappiermarriage.com/waitlist. Now, so going back to what I just said about embracing the mind of Christ, because Jesus modeled what love looks like, right? If you know him and know his story, he modeled that. He was the epitome, the epitome of love, right? He himself says, I didn't come to be served. I came to serve, right? Because what Jesus models for us is servanthood, how to serve, how to listen, and how to sacrifice. He did all of that very effectively. And no wonder people would say, no one ever teach like he does, because he was, of course, a perfect man. So he understood that, right? We can learn a lot from him. But this couple in this video, they missed it. They missed it, but you don't have to. You don't have to. Let this video, what you just heard and watched, let it be your reset. Don't let a scrambled egg situation scramble your future. Don't let it happen. So again, if this hits home, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and drop a comment around this question. What's your take on what she said? What's your take on that? And what's your take on how he responded? What's your take on that? And make sure you subscribe, right, for weekly relationship wisdom that comes through these videos. I mentioned earlier that if you want to build on your marriage, build on wisdom, not warfare, right? Not warfare. That you want to get on the wait list. Build your happier marriage.com/wait list, and let me invite you, and I'd love to see you as part of that. Okay, so I want to say thank you for taking the time. Oh, by the way, if you want some prayer devotional, just a meditative kind of thing, looking for a channel, you can go to Peaceful Home Prayers, right? YouTube.com/ at Peaceful Home Prayers, because there you'll find a lot of meditative, devotional, really set the mood kind of videos. So I want you to go there and enjoy it. Well, that's it, my friend. May God bless you. May God bless your marriage. May you know his peace and his joy, his love, his power. May your marriage truly experience all that you desire and all that God wants for it. God bless you, and I'll see you on the next video. God bless.